Hey there guys, Corey here with Slash Gear and Android Community, and today we're going to take a look at the brand new Huawei Ascend P6 smartphone. And you guys should all be pretty familiar with Huawei. Their Ascend line has essentially been a lot of just top tier smartphones and super thin. All the Ascend lineup phones have all been relatively sleek and pretty nice looking phones. So they announced this last month, the Huawei Ascend P6. And so far, it's already available in the UK and Europe and China and stuff like that. So we don't have any LTE, but this phone is pretty impressive overall, and it's actually really pretty. The hardware's excellent to say the least, and Huawei's really been stepping it up as far as just look, feel, and kind of contending to be a top tier smartphone manufacturer. So as you can see, it's super sleek. It's one of the thinnest phones available on the market, and it has this nice brushed aluminum band wrapping around the whole thing. Yes, it kind of looks like an iPhone. We're going to get that out of the way right now, so we can just stop that. But real quickly, open the box. They have a nice setup here. It's all quite fancy. We have tons of paperwork, and then headphones and the charger. So let's kind of take a peek at those real quick. I know we all hate unboxing, so I'll get into the hardware and software for a second here on the phone, but real quickly, just kind of want to check out this new kind of nice little packaging from Huawei. They're stepping up their game with this fancy boxing. But throw all that back in, because the important part isn't the box. We all know it is the phone. So again, here, this is the Huawei Ascend P6, and what we're going to do here is show you the phone itself. So as you can see already, it's pretty sleek. It's got a great design, look, and feel, and overall it's just nice. It's got Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, and they've added a couple things here that make it really stand out, aside from being super thin. It does have the brand new Emotion user interface on top of Android 4.2 Jelly Bean. So let's just rip that off and get right to it. So here is the actual phone. I'm going to go ahead and boot it up and then talk about specs. We have a 4.7-inch display, and that is only 1280 by 720. So I know 1080p here, but that's kind of arguable for a lot of people. So 4.7-inch 720p HD display. It's got Huawei's own 1.5 gigahertz quad-core processor with 2 gigs of RAM and 8 gigabytes of internal storage. Their quad-core hasn't been performing, up to par when you consider some of NVIDIA's stuff, or some of the processors from Qualcomm. The Snapdragon and the 600 are all extremely powerful. But right out the gate, you can see this is different. They have a nice little drag to unlock with their user interface. And one thing that was kind of interesting to us is they're kind of, the user interface is great. And the tweaks to Android 4.2 look good, but they're kind of confused with what they're wanting to do, if you ask us, just because there's no launcher for the actual app tray. They're all over here, and then they just have tons of folders. So there's nowhere for an app tray, so they kind of took that iPhone approach here. And then obviously all these are customizable in settings. You can tweak the look and feel of all their icons, but everything's got this nice brown look to it, and rounded edges and stuff like that. But then when you go into like the notification pull down bar, there's no browns or anything. It's got all this white and cayenne blue colors, and then even like when you go into settings, it's all completely different as well with the similar blue. So that doesn't kind of match their icons over here. So I was kind of confused by that. But that aside, I mean, the software is good. It runs quite smooth, and overall we've been pretty impressed with Huawei so far. But real quick, let's run down the hardware one more time, since I didn't quite finish that. 4.7-inch 720p HD display, quad-core 1.5 gigahertz processor with 2 gigs of RAM, 8 gigabytes of internal storage. We have an 8-megapixel camera on the rear with LED flash. And interestingly enough, the front is actually a 5-megapixel camera, no 1.3 or any of that here, 5 megapixels up front. And then as you can see, it's just super sleek. And it's got a brushed aluminum bezel on the back. If you can see, it's kind of got like a textured design. And then there's a speaker grill down below. And then over here is the power, volume up, down. SIM slot and micro SD slot for expanding storage, considering there is only 8 inside. And then you may be asking yourself, where's the 3.5 headphone jack? There's a couple microphone pinholes and USB for charging. But over here, they've got this little nub, which you're going to want to take out so you don't lose. And what that does, once you get it out, is that is actually what you use to access the micro SD slot and the SIM slot. Go ahead and tap that in the hole, and that is where you pull out for micro SD and expanding storage, adding the SIM slot. And then you won't want to throw that back in because you don't want to lose that. And that is the 3.5mm headphone jack for audio. So it's really impressive. The hardware I'm really a fan of from Huawei. They did a really great job here. Their phones have continued to improve with each release. Sadly, this is not in the US, but with something this nice, I would like to see Huawei kind of bring more of their phones to the States, because it's definitely something I'm kind of digging. But that was just a quick look at the Huawei Ascend P6. It is available now. Stay tuned for a full review. Thanks for watching, guys.